And in this video, we're going to talk about who's the real star behind your microphone message. So up until now, you've taken care of deciding which one of the three C's you're going to choose for your microphone message. And now we're going to jump into elements for building the perfect message that has the power of breaking through the noise. The first element that you have to take care of is making sure that you put the right star behind your microphone message. You're going to see what we mean here in a second. And in the following videos, you're going to get the other elements that you need to hash out in order to craft the perfect message for breaking through the noise. So let me start off with the story, okay? In January of 2000, Steve Jobs hired Ron Johnson as Senior Vice President of Retail Operations for Apple. Now, who's this Ron Johnson guy? Well, Ron Johnson had been working for the Target Corporation as the Vice President of Merchandising, where he was given credit for making the Target stores more hip. So you go into Target, and it's kind of got a good little vibe to it, a good feeling, and that's because Ron Johnson made the Target stores more hip. Now, Steve Jobs liked that about Ron, and he said, well, I'm going to work with Ron, and I'm going to have him help me build my Apple stores. So Ron started working for Apple, and he and Steve pioneered the concepts for the Apple stores, the first of which opened in May of 2001, and the stores immediately started breaking retail records worldwide. And it quickly became the world's top retailer in sales per square foot. And currently, each Apple store on average sells $5,546 of merchandise per square foot per year. Amazing. And because the average Apple store is around 9,000 square feet, each store generates around $50 million in sales per year. Not bad for one store location. Now, when you combine that with all the store locations, that's $16 billion in combined sales for the Apple stores. Whoa, very nice. Great job, Ron. So in November of 2000, after Ron's success with the Apple stores, he decided, okay, it's time for me to move on to the next thing. It's time for a change. After working for Apple for 11 years, he decided that he would take an offer from JCPenney. JCPenney offered him to become their new CEO, and he accepted. JCPenney was founded in 1902, but despite it being an American icon, the department store was struggling. And the hope was that Ron could come in and kind of work his magic, the same kind of magic that he did for Target and for Apple, by attracting new customers and giving the JCPenney store a fresh new feel while increasing sales. That was their hope, right? So Ron worked with JCPenney, and he quickly created a 3-month plan to increase sales. And the new plan was launched in February of 2012. So he quickly came in and it shook things up, just boom. It was like, let's take action now. So in February 2012, they started implementing the new layout changes of the stores, and they made things look really nice, as you can see. Now, that's great. But they also did something interesting with coupons. If you've ever gone to JCPenney, you've noticed that a lot of things are on sale, and that you can also, if you look in your mailbox, you probably got promotions in order to go to the JCPenney stores and take advantage of even more sales. So Ron Johnson, he wasn't used to this type of culture, this couponing culture, and he wanted to switch it up. He said, instead of the coupons and discounts, let's offer customers a steady offering of everyday lower prices, kind of like the Walmart, everyday low prices thing. But he wanted to do that instead of coupons. So in the past, originally, if something was like $20, it might be sold for like $10 after all the coupons and discounts and everything. But he said, you know what? Let's get rid of all that, and let's just say, okay, instead of it being originally priced $12, let's just tell everybody it's an everyday low price, and maybe say that $20 item is actually only $10 or $11 or $12. And so campaigns were launched showing consumers that they no longer had to deal with the coupons and the fake discounts, because JCPenney now offered everyday great deals. And here's a quick compilation of a few short commercials that they launched that showed the new campaign for their everyday great deal pricing. So here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Excuse me, where are all the shoes?
Girl, the sale started at 6 a.m.
Well, girl, it's only 8:20. Why so early? Has it always been this way?
Rise and shine, Joe. It's 6 a.m. Oh. We have to get to the sale.
Have you lost your marbles? Why do we have to get up so early? Won't the same things be on sale later today? Why is that so funny? $6.99, $9.99. What's with the 99? Has it always been this way? Cheerio, my fair lady. Pray tell the price of this fine hat.
It's £14.99.
Okay, so 15 pounds.
£14.99.
Are you trying to trick me?
No.
So 15 pounds.
Woo! All right. So, conceptually speaking, everything seemed normal, right? Everything seemed normal. But what people from the outside didn't know is that before the changes that Ron Johnson implemented within a 3-month period of becoming CEO, before those changes, less than 1% of JCPenney's revenue came from consumers buying items at the normal retail price. Meaning what? 99% of everything in some way was discounted through coupons or discounts or whatever. It was just the way the shoppers were conditioned to buying things. So before the changes, less than 1% of the revenue came from buying items at the normal retail price. Now, what's the results? Ron Johnson he made things look sexy, which was great. But then he also really shook up the pricing model for the consumers. Well, here are the results. First, the strategy failed. Yes, the strategy failed. And it not just failed, but it failed miserably. It failed in the worst ways possible, because during the next 12 months, JCPenney's overall sales dropped around 30%. And the stock price also fell from around $40 to $20 per share, all within 12 months. And that caused the company to lose $900 million worth of value, nearly $1 billion. So within 1 year, a CEO comes in, shake things up, and $900 million were lost. Now, Michael Kramer, who was chief operating officer at the time, said, "We did not realize how deep some of the customers were into coupons." Strange thing to say, knowing that 99% of things were sold at discount, but whatever, okay. And then Ron Johnson also said, coupons were a drug. They really drove traffic. Well, I can agree with him on that. They were a quote-unquote drug, but they were a quote-unquote drug that the avatar was very used to. And Ron and Michael ended up leaving the company in April of 2013. So they came in, really messed things up for JCPenney, and then left.
Put it mildly. And it's funny, Daniel, because it's like saying we were surprised that our customers like discount so much, and discount is a drug. Discount is cancer. But sometimes it's the fuel that it's making the machine run, right? So if it runs on that type of fuel, you can't just change the type of fuel and expect everything to work. You need to change the whole machine. Exactly. And that takes sometimes, for a company that size, it's going to take decades. Who knows? You know, in order to
it would be like if Walmart all of a sudden stopped being the low price leader.
And they were just trying to sell premium products.
Yeah.
You know, their audience were going to be like, hold on, what?
If Walmart tried to become Whole Foods within a 3-month period. Now, we're not saying Walmart can't become like Whole Foods, okay? But within a 3-month period, that is a culture shock for your current customers, and that's why things basically just didn't work.
And to you have been training your customers to think they're getting the best deal, to think they're buying before everyone else. So you've trained them for decades, and now out of a sudden you say, you know what? Just come in anytime you want, you know, because everything we have done so far, it was a gimmick. Yeah. So they're shooting themselves in the foot, right? By saying, you know, the 99 trick. Yeah. You know, like the past 30 years you have been purchasing from us. Sorry, we were tricking you, but now we're not going to do this anymore.
Exactly. Surprise, we were tricking you the whole time. Ha, and now we're going to stop. So come on in and buy stuff.
for 1 cent more.
Okay, so this layout change. Now there is a right way and a wrong way where if I was Ron Johnson, wanted to come in and shake things up and do things the exact same way, with some adjustments, the strategy could have worked. Layout changes, making the experience great for people, even if they are addicted to couponing and discounts, that avatar, they still can appreciate a good experience. People like to be treated well. They like it when things look nice. People don't necessarily like going to junk-looking stores. So layout changes, we were all for. Everything Ron Johnson did with the Apple Store, also amazing, same thing, but you have to realize that the Apple consumer isn't used to discounts. They go into an Apple Store and they expect to pay full price almost 100% of the time. So he was dealing with a different culture when he was dealing with the avatar of the Apple Store. And for him, that culture turned into it was his paradigm. It was his way of seeing the world. And that was an unrealistic view of how all consumers are in all markets. The JCPenney consumer was completely different. Now, the real problem, though, was that Ron Johnson wanted to come in and he wanted to impose his paradigm. He wanted to impose his way of doing things for the consumer. He wanted to change the consumer behavior of that avatar. So the real problem was Ron Johnson was not the star behind the microphone message. His view was not the star. His way of doing things is never the star. You are not the star behind your microphone message as well. Instead, the real star behind your microphone message is your customer. And this is a picture from one of our events. So that for us, that's our star right there. It's all about them. It's all about what they want. And the real star for your microphone message is also your audience. And I have this picture here reminding you that when it comes to a stage and who you want to make the star of your message, it's all about your audience. You want to put your audience, just like in this picture, your audience is who wants to be center stage. So when Ron Johnson came in and did layout switch moves, his consumers for JCPenney were probably all for it. They probably loved that the stores were going to look nicer, that they were going to have a more enjoyable experience. He didn't really need to ask the consumers if they wanted a better experience. Everybody wants a better experience. But did anybody take the time to ask those same customers how they would like things if they took away the coupons and the discounts and just switched to everyday pricing that they could come in and get it at any time? Doesn't look like they did, because they lost $900 million in the process testing it over a 1-year period. Very, very damaging for the brand. So we always have to put our audience center stage, and that's the first element that you need to consider for the creation of your microphone message. Regardless of what category you're choosing, You must keep your audience center stage. And we have 3 steps for you in this video in order to help you put your audience center stage, making your audience the star behind your microphone message. The first step is for you to clearly define who your message is for. Clearly define your audience. Clearly define your avatar. So, first of all, let's overcome this false belief right here, because a lot of people think, well, my message is for everyone. I'm like McDonald's, they say. What I sell is for everyone. Well, guess what? Even for McDonald's, McDonald's is smart enough to realize that they don't sell to everyone. Even though McDonald's attracts nearly everyone into their restaurant because they're the most popular restaurant in the world, what Pedro and I have discovered is that McDonald's separates out their campaigns and their microphone messages into about 7 different avatars. And they have different teams that take care of the messaging for different avatars. For example, salad, okay? McDonald's salads. Who is the avatar for the salads that are being sold at McDonald's? Is it everybody? Nope, not everybody. It's the fitness crowd. It's the people that are more worried about their health, but they're going to McDonald's along with all of their friends and family because, well, McDonald's is everywhere, and every once in a while the family wants to go to McDonald's. So there needs to be an option for those fitness individuals, and they have a whole team of people that create the commercials in order to attract this specific audience segment, okay? So that's one of the targets that they go after. Here's a different target, the Big Mac. Who are they attracting? Who are they attracting when they have a Big Mac commercial? Well, I hate to admit it, but they're kind of attracting guys like Pedro and I, who as much as we try to avoid the temptation, every once in a while we fall into that temptation and go grab that hamburger that we know that's not very good for us. Right, Pedro?
Oh, come on, man. You just got to test your body to see if everything is working, you know? Your immune system. How do you know if your immune system is working? You got to give it a test.
That's one way of looking at it. Yeah.
That's changing the belief right there.
Big Mac, and if I don't get sick, then my body's doing okay.
Woo!
I guess that's an interesting audience target, right?
Central concept.
Yes, that's a very interesting central concept. And then, of course, they have a whole team as well of people, different team, that promotes the Happy Meals. Now, the Happy Meals, are they trying to attract, the older couples? No, of course not. They're trying to attract the kids. They're trying to attract my kids. And that's why occasionally my kids are like, yeah, we really want to go to McDonald's, Dad. And I'm like, I have no idea why, but like we give in. And it was because, oh, well, they saw a commercial, or they heard about some toy or something, and they wanted to go get a Happy Meal again. And so, as you can see here, even McDonald's breaks out their audience into different target markets. Like we've said, we noticed that about in each region for McDonald's restaurants, they target about 7 different audiences, okay, with different types of campaigns. For example, they also have the morning coffee drinkers. They have campaigns designed entirely in order to attract that target market and bring them into the store. So it might look like McDonald's sells to everybody, but the truth is that McDonald's also follows this rule of putting their audience center stage, and because they have different target markets that they go afterwards, they have different teams in order to do so. Now, you probably aren't McDonald's and you don't have a McDonald's budget. We are not McDonald's. We don't have a McDonald's budget. So instead of trying to focus on 7 target audiences at once, what our advice to you is to be like us and target one really well, and then maybe finally target a second and third target audience, but only after you've successfully targeted your first target audience, your first avatar, okay? So focus big, go deep on one, and then you can attempt a second one afterwards. Remember, focus, focus, focus. That's one of the big things you have to take care of in order to have a successful microphone message. All right, so how do we define the audience that you're going to target for your microphone message? Well, what are your audience's main pains, dreams, and desires? You're going to sit down, you're going to answer these questions with your team, okay? You're going to define what their pains, dreams, and desires actually are. You're also going to define what their favorite brands are, okay? What the companies are that they like, and their favorite bands, meaning what music do they listen to, okay? What's the music that your avatar usually listens to? Yes, we're going to go into details here. We're going to paint a picture of who your ideal target audience is. Also, what are their religious and political views? Okay, what are their religious and political views? Define that, and of course, you're painting a picture here. You're painting a picture of the ideal customer. That doesn't mean that every single person is going to have all of these same elements, but for the most part, there's going to be a segment of people where that's the ideal customer. That's the most common customer that you take care of, or the most common audience that you attract through your marketing efforts. Where did they come from as well? What's their background? What's their culture, etc.? And where are they going? What are their goals? What are their ambitions? Okay? So when you have all of these elements, you get to create what we call a customer avatar. Okay? The avatar is a representation, just like in the movie Avatar. It is a representation of the actual individual. So it isn't the actual person, just like in the movie Avatar. When he goes into his avatar pod to control the body, he isn't actually the avatar, but he is representing the avatar. So just like in the Avatar movie, you get to create an avatar that represents the ideal person that you are trying to attract. And I have an example to make things more clear for you. For a political message, maybe you have an avatar that you've named Andres. Okay, Andres is a 37-year-old man, and he lives in Miami with his wife and 2 kids. And he works as a technical support representative. He's bilingual, speaking English and Spanish, and he attends church on Sundays. He mainly votes Republican, but he has voted in the past for independents and members of the Democratic Party. Okay, so this is an example of, if you were trying to attract Andres, his vote, okay, this is an example of an avatar that you might paint the picture for, so that you can craft your microphone message in order to best attract Andres, the avatar, and people like him to your cause. Okay, and if you've created Andres as one of your avatars, how would you need to tailor your message to best win Andres's, I think I said that right, vote? That's the question. Now, so you need to take backing up, your task is to define your audience in these ways, and then also paint the picture of the avatar that you're trying to attract, and also how would your message need to be tailored in order to best attract your avatar. Once you've figured out the representation for your avatar, created that with your team, then you need to profoundly study your avatar. And we have an amazing story that teaches why this is so important. Have you ever heard of the company Electrolux? Well, in the 1970s, Electrolux, a Swedish manufacturer of vacuum cleaners, wanted to start selling their products in countries around the world. And one of their first moves was to start selling in the United Kingdom. And here, for the United Kingdom, is a very old commercial, very short, very old commercial. Hope you enjoy it. There's a big, pay really close attention, because there's a big reason why I'm sharing this commercial with you. So here we go, 3, 2, 1.
To demonstrate the tremendous strength of the new Superpower Electrolux 506E, I'm going to take 2 kilograms of salted chips and empty them all over this brand new carpet. Get my hefty colleague to stomp them really deep into the pile. Then with a few quick sweeps of the amazing Electrolux, suck them all up. Every last damaging ray. 2 kilograms exactly. Proof once again that nothing sucks like Electrolux.
He was doing great. Oh my gosh, he was doing so good until at the end.
Yeah, it's a great convincing call to action, actually. Well, until the end, right?
Man.
Everything was very convincing. It was like you were watching the perfect infomercial for these vacuum cleaners. And then at the end, it's ruined by them telling you nothing sucks like an Electrolux. Now, of course, this is a play on words, but here's the real story behind what was going on here. See, Electrolux had done a great job at showing the features, as you saw, of their vacuums, but they ended with this phrase, nothing sucks like Electrolux, because at the time the commercial was made, the verb to suck in British English didn't have the secondary meanings of something that failed or that's really bad. But in American culture, the verb to suck already did have those meanings. Okay, so 1970s, to suck means bad in America, but to suck, the verb, doesn't mean bad in the UK where they launched this commercial. Now, the problem with this is that eventually some people in the United States learned about the funny slogan and started to spread the message that, well, you know, nothing sucks like Electrolux. Now, Electrolux, they don't just sell vacuums. That's another part of the problem behind this message. They sell other electronics as well. That was just their main product at the time. But they sell other electronics as well. So if your electronic brand has this tagline that nothing sucks like Electrolux, how does that look on the world stage? Well, here's what happened. Electrolux vacuums and other electronics are still sold in countries around the world. And the company did change their slogan. They changed the slogan, but Electrolux never gained large market share in the United States. And this is likely due to the fact that the phrase nothing sucks like Electrolux hurt their chances from the beginning. The message rhymes. It's catchy. It's memorable. It's likely that if Electrolux had ever attempted a large marketing push in the United States, that every time Americans just saw the name Electrolux, that they would be reminded that nothing sucks like Electrolux. So just by seeing the name, oh, Electrolux, oh yeah, nothing sucks like Electrolux. Let's not buy that one.
Yeah, you need to wait a whole new generation to change in order to get back on your feet. That's horrible. That's horrible, man.
Yeah, really tough. So part of defining your target audience is to profoundly study your avatar. Look at where you're going. Realize that, okay, yes, we're starting with this avatar, but on the world stage with where we're going and where we want to expand to, what else do we need to consider? Is there something that's going to hurt our chances of growth because we went viral? Remember, going viral for the wrong reasons. Are we going to go viral for the wrong reasons because of this microphone message? Okay, you got to double check. You got to double check. All right, some more tips here in order to profoundly study your avatar. Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon, richest man in the world, he has a genius way of helping his team constantly remember their customer avatar during meetings. Company-wide, the tradition is to leave an empty chair during the meetings to remember, to remind themselves that the customer also has an important voice during the decision-making process. So this is what meetings look like. This is company policy for Amazon, the empty chair policy, okay? Empty chair policy reminds them that the customer has a voice. Or in other words, the star of their marketing their microphone message is who? It's their avatar. It's their audience, okay? And Jeff Bezos said, if you're truly obsessed about your customers, it will cover up a lot of your other mistakes. Great quote. Post it to your wall. If you're truly obsessed about your customers, it will cover a lot of your other mistakes. So great advice. And step number 3 is to make your microphone message personal. And I have a quick story here. If you've read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, you might have remembered this story about Andrew Carnegie's $100 bet. Okay, so the bet was, can he get his sister-in-law's 2 boys to write back? Because his sister-in-law was complaining because she kept on writing the boys and they wouldn't respond, so she was worried because the boys weren't writing back. And he said, you know what, I bet I can get your boys to write me back. And somebody took him up on the bet. And said, hey, yeah, I bet you $100 you can't because they ain't writing anybody back. They said, okay, whatever, here we go. So $100 bet. And this is what Andrew Carnegie did to win the bet. First, step 1, he wrote a long, chatty letter, okay? Long, just talking about, his business and, asking questions for the boys and, lots of details, right? Step 2, he included a PS that said that he was including one $5 bill for each of the boys. Oh, okay, PS. I'm including a $5 bill for each of your boys to help you with your studies, okay? So he put the boys center stage. He made it about them. He included a $5 bill for them. But wait a second. What he did is he intentionally left out the $5 bill in order to leave that. He said he was including it, but then he didn't include it. So the boys, seeing what was in it for them, wrote him back and said, hey, thank you so much, Uncle. This is amazing. Just so you know, for some reason, the $5 bills for each of us weren't in the letter. So he won the bet. He won the $100 bet, and it was because he made the message about them in some way towards the end. So you need to make the message about them. You need to include you, okay? You need to make it about the avatar. You, if you use it in your communication, is considered by many as the most persuasive word in the English language. So there's a simple way to make your microphone message more personal. It's to switch your communication from I and we to you. Always check your microphone message, check your communication. Take out, you can still use instances where you say I and we, but use a lot more you. Talk more to them. Talk more about them, their wants, their pains, their desires, their needs. When you make it about them, then you're putting them center stage and they pay attention more to your message because they respond better to you. You is considered by many as the most persuasive word in the English language. Never forget it. Also, to make things personal, you should assign a messenger to the message. Okay, we have a whole course called the Celebrity Code that talks about crafting the perfect messenger and what the messenger should do in order to deliver the message. But here's some quick tips for you, okay? So who will be the next face of your organization? Will it be you? This is common if you're a doctor, a lawyer, or a CEO, or a politician, or even a thought leader. Usually in these instances, you need to be the messenger for the message that you are actually crafting, so that the message can be more personal, okay? But it doesn't always have to be the case. A spokesperson could be the messenger for the microphone message that you're putting together. This was done through Progressive. Progressive has done this. Old Spice has done this. Dos Equis, the beer brand, has done this. Or maybe there's a member on your team that would be the best messenger for the microphone message that you're putting together, okay? So in all of these instances, they put a spokesperson in front of the brand to make it more personal so people could connect with it more because people don't want to connect with businesses per se. They want to connect with people, okay? Or maybe you use a celebrity as the messenger for your microphone message. Oprah did this through her partnership with Weight Watchers. Ellen did this with CoverGirl. Actually, we just use an example in this video where Ellen also did it with JCPenney, even though that was a negative example because it didn't work very well, but Ellen did it more successfully with CoverGirl. And Justin Bieber even did this with Calvin Klein. So will a celebrity be the messenger behind your microphone message? Or will you use a character mascot? Okay, Tony the Tiger is an example. The Geico Gecko is an example. The M&M's Candies spokespersons, I guess they can't be spokes candies, I think is what they call them. Instead of spokespeople, spokes candies. The M&M spokes candies. The Michelin Man is an example. Now, amongst all of these possibilities to make your microphone message with the messenger more personal, most of you watching are going to go with option number 1. Most of the time, you will be the messenger, the best messenger for your microphone message. But that's not always the case. As you can see here, there's other instances. Sometimes it's a spokesperson, a celebrity, or even a character mascot could be the messenger of your microphone message. All right? So here's the recap of your 3-step process for this video in order to make put your audience center stage for your microphone message. Step 1 is to clearly define who your message is for. Step 2 is to profoundly study the avatar that you've created, that you've determined with your team. And step 3 is to make your microphone message personal in some way by assigning a messenger for the microphone message, and also by switching up your communication, talk more about you instead of talking about I and we. Remember, you is the most powerful word, most persuasive word in the English language. Okay, so here's some questions for you to answer with your team or by yourself in order to finalize this video. The first question is, who should be responsible to make sure that the 3 steps outlined in this video are successfully implemented? Okay, who's in charge of the tasks for this video? Also, what ideas do you have to help you constantly remember to keep your avatar as the center of attention? What ideas do you have to keep them center stage? Remember that they're always the most important. Also, should you be the messenger behind your microphone message, or is there someone on your team that could be the best messenger to keep things personal? Or should you consider hiring a spokesperson or a celebrity to endorse and share your microphone message? So answer these questions along with the other questions about avatar in this video, and you'll be well on your way to making sure that your microphone message puts your audience center stage as the star behind your microphone message. All right, so those are your tasks, and we will see you in the next video. All right, thank you for joining us in this episode of the Marketing Podcast Party. Please share this episode with your friends, family, and business partners. Also, remember that the party continues with your free copy of the Ideas That Influence book and interactive box experience. I wrote the book and created the box experience to help you with even more wildly successful marketing ideas. Head on over to bigideasbox.com to grab your copy. You'll get your copy for free. You just pay shipping and handling. Once again, that's bigideasbox.com for your free plus shipping copy of Ideas That Influence. I'm Daniel Din. This is the Marketing Podcast Party, and I'll see you in the next episode.